Hello, welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and today I have a summer book haul. I'm excited to share these books with you that I have accumulated over the past month or so. I think I did a May book haul. I can't remember if it was at the beginning of May or I don't know. But anyway, books have gathered up once again, and I am here to share them with you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad that you are here, and if you're returning, thanks for sticking around. I just got back from our trip to Lake Tawakoni. My last video was that Family Reads video. So coming up this Friday, I'll do sort of a catch-up Friday reads, because in that family video, we just kind of talked about what we were currently reading or the books that we found at the used bookstore in Terrell. But I do have some books over the past couple weeks I want to review. But I don't know why I started out this video by talking about some other video that I haven't even made yet. That was kind of weird, but let's talk about today's video. This is a haul video. I like haul videos. They don't require a lot of preparation. You just have your stack of books and you can't even make any succinct or profound statements about any of them because you haven't read them yet. So there's really no way to mess this up, right? I'll probably find some kind of way. Anyway, let me share with you some books that I have recently acquired. And yes, it's true that I have not read but maybe a mere smattering of the books from my last haul. But has that stopped me from buying yet more books? No, it has not. First of all, a couple of books that I got off of eBay, although I don't think I got them at the same time. I bought Nevada. Look at it, see what it is. Nevada by Imogen, Binnie. This book came out, I was kind of surprised at how recent this book is, because when I bought it, first of all, it came to my attention because I heard about it in several different people's videos. So it is a booktube made me buy it, or made me aware of it at any rate. I heard some people talk about it during Trans Girl April, some people talked about it during Pride Month, some people just talked about it at other times. It has been described as a cult classic or an early classic in the field of trans literature, and so that made me think it was older than it is, like from the 70s or maybe the 80s. But no, this book's only 10 years old, and that kind of tells you how skimpy this category of fiction has been, if only in the past 10 years that we have any body of work written by trans authors about their experiences. So I'm going to talk more about it in Friday Reads, because I actually did read it about a week or so ago, but I went ahead and purchased this, and it is a book about a woman named Maurier who is trans, and about some events that occur. A lot of things. She has one of those times where all the things that are bubbling up all kind of hit the fan at once, and she's dealing with a breakup and loss of a job, and she takes off on a road trip, and then she meets another person, a young man named James, who may also be trans. It's about what happens. So I did read it. I'll talk about it soon. I'm glad. I'll give a spoiler. I'm glad that I bought it. I'm glad that I read it, and I'm looking forward to sharing some more thoughts about Nevada, or Nevada, depending on how you were raised. Another book that I got from eBay was this nice UK paperback copy of Walk the Blue Fields by Claire Keegan. I was kind of excited to get this really nice, I think it's a brand new copy. I don't think it's used at all. And I like this cover. This was my missing piece in my Claire Keegan puzzle. I already have Small Things Like These, Foster, and Antarctica, but I did not have this collection of short stories, Walk the Blue Fields. Let me check what year this book came out, if I am not sure. 2007. And so I think this is the book that comes maybe before Foster, maybe in between. I think Antarctica was the first. And so I love this author, and I'm really excited to read these short stories. You can let me know if you've already read it and what you thought, but I am looking forward to diving into this soon. Next one in the pile is an oops, because I ordered a book. Now this one really is a case of BookTube made me do it. There's a book that appeared. I'll describe it, you can guess, and then I'll show you. But The book that I ordered appeared on the international Booker Prize list, and a lot of people read and reviewed it, and they made it sound so compelling that I really wanted to have a copy. And my library was not likely to be getting this book in. I didn't see it at the local bookstore, so I ordered one. And it is a short novel. Any thoughts so far? It's a one-word title. Okay, I'm going to put it up here. So I ordered Boulder, and I was very excited. It took forever. It wasn't there, and it wasn't there, and it shipped. I don't know where they found a copy in the, the far regions of Timbuktu, but finally this book was on the way. And then it was supposedly here waiting on my porch when I came home from my trip, and I open up my package. I know it's a thin book, and it's a thin package, and I'm waiting for Boulder to emerge from this package, and instead I got this book, All the Horses of Iceland. Did I order this book? I did not. I don't know anything about this. I'm not going to throw any shade on this book, but I'm not interested. It's has something to do with the tale of a Norse trader in his travels through Central Asia and the ghostly magic that followed him home to the land of fire, stone, and ice. I mean, okay, but no thanks. So this one I have to send back, and my copy of Boulder I think is going to come tomorrow, but I'm not going to cross my fingers, but supposedly that's what they tell me. And All the Horses of Iceland it's going back. Now the next book is one that I ordered. This happened in the wake of my video about the literary white whales. And one thing that happened in that video is I talked about several books, mostly classics, some modern books that are authors that I have never read and that I felt amiss about and that I wanted to repair. So far, the only one that I have caught up with is I've finally read at least my first book by James Baldwin. But in the aftermath of that video, there were a lot of comments that also added more to my list. People talked about their own white whales, and some of them I realized I hadn't read either. Or the conversation got off on side trails, and just other books and authors came up in the conversation that I realized I also need to add to my list. So one of them was someone whose name I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing correctly. Colm, Toibin, or Toibin. Somebody please tell me. But this is an Irish author that I have not read, and I realized that this is a person that I've heard about a lot, but somehow haven't read any of his books. And so based on viewer Michael's recommendation, I'm starting with Brooklyn. So thank you, Michael, for this suggestion. And I bought a copy of this on Thrift Books. I love this cover that's a vintage picture of the front of a store from the 40s, I think, because this book takes place after World War II. And it is about a young woman from Ireland who comes to Brooklyn and gets a job in a department store, falls in love, and then receives devastating news from back home in Ireland. So I love a good coming of age story. I love a story. I like Irish literature, and I like books set in New York City. So this cannot possibly go wrong, and I'm really excited to read this, and hopefully it'll just be my first book by this author. I also received a few more books from Thrift Books. Oh, I made that sound like they just decided to send me books. Yeah, I had nothing to do with this. They just sent me books, and what am I going to do? This is a book that I've actually read before, and I used to have a copy, but it was a pretty dog-eared old paperback, and somewhere in our last couple of moves, I unhauled it with the plan of getting a hardback copy. And in fact, I unhauled all three of the books that are in this novel cycle, which are Love Medicine Tracks and The Beat Queen. I can't remember right now which order they come in, but my goal was to get a hardback of all three of them and then reread these books that I really loved back when they were new. And I feel like they have stood the test of time because I still see people reading and discussing them, and I still love this author, Louise Erdrich, and I really have truly loved her last couple of books, so she's still going strong. And in fact, she comes up twice in this haul. But look at this cover. So this is, I didn't know, this is new and expanded edition, which I'm not really exactly sure what that means. I didn't know she went back and expanded. And I've never seen it in this edition or this cover before. I'm trying to look. I know it came out in the 80s to begin with, 84, and then this edition is 93. Last year I did find a hardback of Tracks, so now I just need the Beat Queen. But I was happy to find that and add it into my collection at a low price. Another book I found at a low price on Thrift Books was this nonfiction book, Square Haunting. I just realized I've been sitting like this for like 5 minutes. Square Haunting by Francesca Wade. And this is an example. This is also a BookTube suggestion. I remember seeing a review of this or discussion of this on Brian's channel at Bookish. It caught my attention and I wrote it down. So I am thankful for that suggestion. Thank you, Brian. And Square Haunting, 5 writers in London between the wars. I kind of wish it didn't have a blurb from Sally Rooney on the front, and I don't really know why it has that blurb. I'm not feeling all the Sally Rooney aficionados just storming out to get a copy of Square Haunting, but whatever. This is a book about the era between the world wars, which is just a really rich time period for literature and authors. And this is about 5 women. It says intertwined at one address, which was Mecklenburgh Square, a hidden architectural gem in the heart of London. It is about the poet H.D., the detective writer Dorothy Sayers, classicist Jane Harrison, economic historian Eileen Power, and author and publisher Virginia Woolf. So I'm familiar with H.D., Dorothy Sayers, and Virginia Woolf. I've heard the name Eileen Power, but I don't really know anything about her, and I never heard of Jane Harrison. So this should be pretty interesting. And it says, in an era when women's freedoms were fast expanding, they each sought a place where they could live, love, and above all, work independently. So it's nonfiction. It is interspersed with photographs. It's about some interesting and strong women during a time and place in history that is of interest to me. And I am a woeful nonfiction reader, but I've been trying to do better this year. So I thought this would be a good choice for me. I don't know if I'll save it for Nonfiction November or just start it as one of my read on the sides, but it captivated my interest, and so I got this, and I am excited to give it a try. The next few books are some that I found recently at a library book sale. There's a book sale at my local library, and it's sort of a revolving one. It happens maybe 5 times a year, but periodically they're open for 3 days and they have a sale. So they set up in there, and then kind of it spills out into the library on some tables. And the prices are pretty low, but they're not rock bottom. It's not one of those great everything's $1 kind of book sales. So I have to be a little bit picky and choosy about what I purchase in there. It's more like a used bookstore kind of pricing. But I don't always find something, but sometimes I find some gems. So this last time I did find a couple of good things. The first one was a little bit expensive, but it was the most exciting one. And you can't tell, but this is, well, you can see it. It's Parnassus on Wheels by Christopher Morley. And this is a book about a guy who has a mobile bookshop in England, and it was published in 1917. This particular copy is from 1955, and somebody owned it who wrote their name and location in the book in 1963. I paid $10 for it. It's in very good condition. Minimal yellowing. It has some yellowing on the end papers, but inside the pages it looks good, and it's nice and tight in the binding, and it has cute illustrations. And this is a book that has a sequel, and the reason why I bought it is because I've had the sequel for years. My mother gave it to me. I'm gonna get it, hold on. So my mother found this in a used bookstore, gave it to me as a gift quite a few years ago, The Haunted Bookshop. And I found out that this is actually the second book. So after his adventures in a mobile bookshop, he sets up a physical one, I guess in London, I don't know, or maybe, I don't know. No, Brooklyn. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the first one, who knows? I could be wrong about all this. I haven't read any of it. So I feel like now perhaps I will settle down and read these books. I am not frequently struck with the cozy mood, but every now and then I do like to read a sort of a quaint and quiet book. And so I think that will suffice when that mood hits. And I'll start with Parnassus on Wheels, and then I can read The Haunted Bookshop. If you've ever read these books, let me know what you think. They look rather charming. I think I will like them. I'm thinking that maybe when that 84 Charing Cross Road kind of mood comes along, that these will fit the bill. The next one that I found at the library book sale was this copy of The Known World. I did show this when I did that covers tag, and this is it's an advanced reader's copy, so it should not have been in the sale, but I did not. It's like a little tiny square. I didn't see that, and I guess the ladies who set up this sale did not see that either, I suppose. But it is a really nice copy with French flaps and nice edges. And I did read this book before many years ago when it was a new book. But I guess it was a library book, so I don't have it. I thought that I did have it. You know, it's one of those cases of somebody mentions the book and you think, oh yeah, that was really good, I'd like to read that again, and you go to the shelf and you don't have it, and you thought you had it. So now I do have it. When I read How the Word is Passed recently, I really started to think about this book again and some other fiction that I've read over the years. And so I would like to read The Known World by Edward P. Jones again. It is Henry Townsend, a black farmer, bootmaker, and former slave, through the surprising twists and unforeseen turns of life in antebellum Virginia, becomes proprietor of his own plantation as well as his own slaves. When he dies, his widow, Caldonia, succumbs to profound grief, and things begin to fall apart at their plantation. Slaves take to escaping under the cover of night, and families who had once found love beneath the weight of slavery began to betray one another. So I really want to read this again. There was a surprise find at the book sale too. I found this brand new novel, Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. I think this is a first novel, yes. And I've been seeing this on display at Barnes & Noble in the new section, and I've heard a couple of reviews, and then when I saw it at the book sale, I thought, why is this already here? And I looked it up, and the reviews sounded pretty strong. Somehow I misinterpreted this as being historical fiction, but I think it's actually contemporary. I don't know, something about the cover gave me early 20th century vibes, but I don't think that's the case. It is about a group of women who live in New York. So we have New York and I think Brooklyn once again. It's about some wealthy people. It says, shot through with the indulgent pleasures of life among New York's one percenters. Pineapple Street is an addictive escapist novel that sparkles with wit. I don't know what it's actually about. It lists, I'm not going to read this whole long thing, but it goes through several different women in a family. Let's see. The peculiar unknowability of someone else's family, the miles between the haves and the have-nots, and the insanity of first love. Okay, I think whatever I read in a review was more cogent than this description, and it made me think that I would enjoy reading this. So I got it on the cheap, and I liked the way it looks, and that was enough for me. I briefly showed these books in my last video when we found the cute used bookstore called Books and Crannies. It's so cute. A cat infested bookstore. That's the wrong word. They had cats, and they had a cat theme. There was cat paw prints on their bags, and they had these bookmarks. There's one of them. They had cats on the bookmarks. Cats walk. They only had 2 cats. I make it I've just made it sound like it was some sort of cat hoarder place with books. It wasn't. It was a nice used bookstore. Boy, I just really blew that one. Anyway, the two books I briefly showed in my last video, but just again, I did get The Plague of Doves by Louise Erdrich, and I'm really excited. I've never read this one. This one was published in 2008, and I have not read it, but I have heard that it is one of her strongest novels, so I'm excited to read it. Also, I got My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. Last year I read this author for the first time. I'm doing it again. I'm like sitting like this. I read Rebecca, and I really enjoyed it. I loved how it was a kind of a slow boiler, and then all of a sudden the story just took off, and it had some truly delectable, bizarre characters. And this one also sounds kind of off the wall. It says it's one of her most intriguing and enigmatic mysteries, one that still leaves readers on tenterhooks more than 60 years after its first publication. When Philip Ashley receives a letter from his beloved guardian Ambrose, begging him to come to his side in a villa near Florence, far from their ancestral home in Cornwall, he sets out at once, only to find upon arriving that Ambrose is dead and his mysterious new wife Rachel has left. So it sounds kind of gothic-y. It sounds kind of maybe it's a little over the top. I think I shall love it when I get into the right mood for that type of book. And it's this really nice edition. And that's it for now. That should be enough. But it isn't, because Boulder is still on the way, and I may or may not have ordered from Thrift Books again the other day. And there's a couple of new releases coming out in the next few weeks that I am planning to get as well. So the real problem looking around is where to get them, and why do they not make this model of bookcase anymore at IKEA? That's the real problem. It's not the books or my shopping habits. It's IKEA. And why did they discontinue these bookcases that I bought in 2007? Anyway, let me know what your thoughts on any of these books or other things that you have found lately that you are really excited about. And I will be back in a few days with a kind of a deluxe edition of Friday Reads. Hope you have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.